Leonardo's hand trembled, ink spilling like prophecy onto parchment. He drew machines that defied reason, shapes no man understood. 5 centuries before flight, he dreamed of conquering the skies. Before engines roared, his quill whispered of motion and lift. In the quiet of his mind, centuries collapsed into one. He saw helicopters, submarines, robots, centuries before the world did. His notebooks weren't drawings, they were blueprints for tomorrow's civilization. Each stroke carried the arrogates of a man who saw eternity. He wasn't inventing, he was remembering something humanity hadn't discovered yet. In every invention, he saw reflections of divine geometry and nature. The world wasn't ready for his ideas, not even close. Yet the pages survived, carrying visions that would ignite generations ahead. When humanity finally caught up, they found his fingerprints on everything. He was more than a painter. He was a prototype of genius. Centuries later, his mind still feels uncomfortably ahead of ours. He saw the code of nature, and he tried to rewrite it. Leonardo didn't dream of the future. He reverse-engineered it from imagination. He once wrote, "For once you have tasted flight, you shall walk the earth with eyes turned skyward." That quote became a prophecy the world fulfilled centuries later. Every page of his notebooks feels like a message to us, a whisper across time, from 1500 to the digital age.
15th century Florence pulsed with art, ambition, and dangerous politics. The air was thick with paint, faith, and whispers of rebellion. Power was traded like coin. Art was the weapon of kings. In this crucible of genius, a young Leonardo was born illegitimate. No noble name, no inheritance, only an insatiable hunger to know. He stared at rivers and clouds as if decoding divine secrets. While others prayed, he studied the wings of birds in silence. His eyes were lenses before lenses existed, recording, dissecting, understanding. Florence became his classroom, nature his greatest and only teacher. Apprenticed under Verrocchio, he learned art was not imitation, but discovery. He sculpted anatomy not for beauty, but for truth of motion. To him, muscles were engines, tendons were pulleys, bones were architecture. He saw God not in heaven, but in the symmetry of form. Art became science, science became faith, his trinity of understanding. But Florence was not kind to those who asked forbidden questions. Leonardo's experiments bordered on heresy, his notebooks kept in secret code. The church watched, suspicious of minds that rivaled divine creation. So Leonardo withdrew deeper into his own universe of thought. He designed weapons for dukes, yet dreamed of machines that healed. He walked a thin line, artist by day, futurist by night. Behind his calm gaze burned an obsession to see beyond mankind. In his notebooks, angels became aircrafts, and theology turned to physics. Each line drawn felt like an act of rebellion against ignorance. The world called him artist, but he was an engineer of destiny. And destiny, it seemed, had chosen him long before he was born.
Leonardo's notebooks began to multiply, pages breathing, alive with motion. He didn't just draw, he engineered imagination into mathematical precision. Each invention seemed to whisper, "The world will need this someday." He studied rivers, trying to harness their energy before turbines existed. He built bridges that folded, machines that moved, cities that breathed. The Duke of Milan saw a painter. Leonardo offered him the future. War was the currency of power, so he drew machines of death. Yet beneath his designs of iron and gears lay guilt and awe. He hated violence, Yet he studied it like a surgeon studies wounds. His drawings of flight weren't war, they were prayers made mechanical. In the flapping of birds, he heard the hum of engines unborn. He drew the helicopter, the aerial screw, 4 centuries too soon. He designed the first robot, a mechanical knight that could move. To him, movement was life, and he would recreate it himself. He sketched submarines and diving suits when oceans were still mystery. He drew solar mirrors to harness the sun's untamed energy. No subject was too sacred, no mystery beyond curiosity's reach. He dissected corpses to understand life and painted it eternal. His art wasn't beauty, it was an operating table for truth. Every stroke, every diagram was a negotiation between science and soul. He said art is the queen of all sciences communicating knowledge, and knowledge was his rebellion against kings, priests, and mortality itself. The world marveled at his paintings, but ignored his notebooks of prophecy. He was creating blueprints for centuries unborn, destinies yet unimagined. His rise wasn't fame, it was revelation, disguised as art. And the higher he rose, the lonelier the summit became.
Genius is heavy, and Leonardo carried it alone for decades. He had built wonders, but the world wanted miracles on command. His patrons saw spectacle. He sought understanding. 2 incompatible worlds colliding. He invented too early, and no one could follow his thoughts. His notebooks, written backward, became fortresses for dangerous ideas. Only he could read them, a mind guarding secrets from mankind. He had seen the future too clearly, and it frightened him. Machines meant for flight could also rain fire upon cities. So he withdrew, from war, from power, from Florence itself. His heart turned to pure observation, the science of peace. He began studying the human body, the most complex machine of all. Each muscle was a lever, each heartbeat an equation of life. But his obsession drew suspicion. Whispers of heresy followed his brilliance. He wrote in riddles, fearing his discoveries might die with him. To him, truth was sacred, but the world preferred ignorance's comfort. His inventions could have changed humanity. Instead, they gathered dust. But his curiosity never dimmed, even as time conspired against him. France called him next, the final refuge for a restless genius. King Francis I offered him peace, not pressure, a rare gift. At last, he found someone who valued wisdom more than spectacle. He kept drawing. Canals, flying machines, human hearts, celestial geometry. His lines grew slower, his eyes dimmer, but his wonder eternal. He knew death approached, yet curiosity outlived the fear of endings. In his final days, he whispered, "Learning never exhausts the mind." And then quietly, the future's architect closed his eyes forever. But death for him was not silence. It was transmission.
Centuries passed, yet Leonardo's notebooks refused to fade into dust. Historians opened them and found blueprints of the modern world. The aerial screw became the ancestor of the helicopter's spinning blades. His mechanical knight inspired robotics, movement born from human imagination. His flying machines predated Wright brothers by 4 entire centuries. And his studies of anatomy shaped modern surgical precision and prosthetics. Every discipline he touched became a seed for future revolutions. He had dreamed of solar power centuries before energy met the sun. Even artificial intelligence carries his fingerprint, the merging of art and logic. His notebooks reveal algorithms of nature, symmetry as the original code. The Vitruvian Man was more than anatomy, it was a design for harmony. To him, perfection existed where art, science, and humanity converged. Today's engineers still chase the questions he first dared to ask. In every drone, AI sketch, and 3D design, his DNA lingers.
He predicted biomechanics, fluid dynamics, and even early concepts of evolution. He saw nature not as chaos, but as a machine of divine logic. Modern architects borrow his vision, cities breathing like living organisms. His notes on flight paved the path to humanity's conquest of space. From Da Vinci's parchment to Mars, his curiosity became propulsion. Even Silicon Valley echoes his method, blending observation with imagination. Every visionary since, Tesla, Einstein, Jobs, drank from his fountain of thought. He was the prototype of genius, multidisciplinary, restless, limitless. His gift was not invention, it was permission to imagine without borders. Every century since has only proven how right he was. We live inside Leonardo's predictions, in every circuit, every wing, every design. He didn't just predict the future, he built the blueprint for dreaming it.
Time has no power over a mind that never stops learning. Leonardo's spirit lives not in museums, but in every human question. He taught us that wonder is a form of resistance to decay. The curious never die. They multiply through those they inspire. Every invention, every idea, is a conversation continued across centuries. Leonardo's hand still moves, in code, in steel, in light. He showed us that imagination is not fantasy, it's foresight. The future doesn't arrive by accident. It's drawn into existence. 500 years later, his curiosity still whispers, keep asking why. Every question is a key, and he left us the lock. He believed nature was not chaos, but code waiting to be translated. And humanity's purpose, he thought, was to become fluent in creation. He built bridges not of stone, but of understanding between worlds. When we fly, heal, or build, we complete his unfinished sentences. We are his descendants, born from the DNA of imagination. And perhaps that's what immortality truly is, endless curiosity shared. His final breath was not an end, but a continuation, because ideas, once born, never truly die. They evolve. Leonardo da Vinci didn't predict the future. He invented the very idea of one. And as long as we keep imagining, he is still alive in all of us.